And what we see is that the cathedral building era comes to a sudden termination in the early 1300s. And if you go and you travel around the cathedrals, you'll find that there's, in many cases, the records suggest that it's almost as if in the middle of their work, the workmen laid down their tools and left in some cases. This is why there were so many cathedrals of the great ones that weren't finished, okay? But what you see is that exactly concurring with the cessation of cathedral building within a few decades anyway, was the onset of the Little Ice Age and the return of the cold. In this first phase of the Little Ice Age, again, brought about agricultural collapses, it brought about famine, and then you had the Black Plague that showed up, I think, around, 1330, 1340, right in there. Again, decimated the civilization of Europe. Wow. So you can see, I mean, if we look at the historical record, what we see is the times of global warming have actually been times of advancement in civilization. Now, of course, that would have its limit. I mean, we could get to, at some point where we would get too warm.
Right, of course.
But so far what we've seen, we're at this point well within the range of natural variability. That's the point.
Why is this never brought up by anybody but you? I've never heard anybody else discuss this very controversial subject. It's controversial because everyone's so fixated on global warming being a bad thing.
It's there. It's there for anybody who is willing to do their homework. And if somebody goes on my website or whatever and says, what are your sources? I'm glad to provide multiple sources going back. I've been collecting this data for decades, and it's there. And I have to ask the same question. Why are we ignoring this evidence? Why are we? Well, I think we're ignoring it because climate change has become a political agenda rather than a scientific question, And so because there are political factions that are lined up behind it, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is now looked at as being the ultimate source for data on the climate. And bear in mind, they were created by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and given the mandate of go out there and demonstrate that humans are causing climate change.